Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Friday Outlook at the Advent Leadership channel. We are on YouTube as well as TikTok and LinkedIn. Today, I want to speak about leaning in. Lean in. And I've taken the time to actually sit down today, have a sit down by my neighborhood here in Amanzimtoti. It's very sunny. I've been trying to get the best angle of the camera and actually making sure that I've got a shade, from the sun. I hope you can see me very well and clearly. My apologies if I keep tilting the camera that I'm using. But I want to talk about leaning in. And these are lessons that I've picked up in the past couple of weeks from my personal brand specialist, Ubathembu Mvelase, the founder and CEO of The Mark. They are brand specialists based in South Africa. And PG as well, who's an author for the book called From Box to Business. So these gentlemen helped me understand the value of leaning in terms of leaning in from my technical expertise as a qualified chartered accountant. I've always struggled with this in terms of how much value can I attach to my technical skills. And I see a lot of people also struggle with this. And it got me thinking to say, why do people actually feel like their careers, which they've trained in, which they've studied for, are not their passion? Why is that? Why do we feel like we need to add hobbies, activities in our lives to feel fulfilled? Why do we feel like the work that we get paid for is actually not our passion? So it ranges, being an accountant, an attorney, an engineer, a doctor. I feel like, society does have this thing of overemphasizing humility and pushing people to say you should not let your career be your personality. That's good and well. But there's nothing wrong about being proud of what you've achieved. And in fact, there is an element of some imposter syndrome, and those versed in psychology can also help us understand it even a bit more, that we tend to downplay our personal achievements. So we tend to think, for an example, as a CA, I would think people that are in tech are much cooler, or people that are in marketing, sales, they are much cooler. And people in social media marketing, maybe they enjoy their work much more. But what is stopping me from actually enjoying my technical work, as a chartered accountant, as an example? So I consulted my ChatGPT to just help me unpack this in terms of why do people feel that their career isn't their passion. So many people feel disconnected from their professional careers, for these following reasons, amongst many that could be there, because our personal experiences differ and they are never the same. But people often feel careers, they often enter based on external pressures, right? Financial stability, societal expectations. For an example, I chose the CA profession after understanding that it would pay me well, I'd be rich, and that's a good motivation for somebody to take a career. But it doesn't last very long sometimes. It's not something that can sustain a person over time. The lack of personal fulfillment becomes evident. There is limited self-reflection, that we suffer from. Many of us don't take time to deeply assess our values, skills, and interests before pursuing a career. And many of us actually rarely actively choose a career. All right. A lot of us, we get into careers because, for an example, I was an A student in accounting, or an A student in physics and science, in maths. So I would then choose a career that aligns more with those subjects, but I have not actively chosen that. So that actually plays a role in terms of your longevity as you are in that career. Burnout and stress, it's a fact. A lot of careers inherently are stressful careers. Working in finance, you are bound to have those standard deadlines at month end, financial year end, audits, chasing deadlines. By nature of the work, it's a stressful, high pressure, high performance, high expectation kind of environment. Just like any other uh, career out there, or art, that has its own pressures. So if we lack that work-life integration, and that we've spoken about on this channel before, it can be evident that we lose passion. We start looking we start looking outside for the things that could fulfill us, because then our career becomes a little bit more stressful. Lack of growth opportunities, that's also a good one. Feeling stuck in a role, it happens a lot. And this tends to happen when you are feeling stuck as well on just your general life. Feel like you are not moving at the right kind of pace that you could be moving at. So you are just feeling like you are just in a job and not really a career, because then a career has a clear roadmap in terms of how you move from one role to the other, and from one level to the other in a career. And number 5 is romanticizing passion, and this is a big one, right? So our social media age, in cultural narratives, glorify loving what you do. We always speak about you must love what you do what you love, and you never work a day in your life. Well, subjective, right? There's always gonna be work, right? There's always gonna be work. So, but then people may feel inadequate in their career because it doesn't look like a dream job. It doesn't entail traveling to an island twice a year, and so those are mainly the common reasons why people would feel like their careers are actually not their passion. Now, the 2 gentlemen I spoke about earlier helped me, because as I'm building this brand of Advent Leadership, I was actually profiling myself more of like a keynote speaker, a facilitator, mentor, coach. And Batsembo asked me to say, Kabazela, why is in your profile I don't see anything coming out about your technical expertise as a chartered accountant? Why are you not leaning into that? Because that is your competitive advantage. You could be pursuing whatever else as a pivot in business, but you've got this competitive advantage that you are a chartered accountant, and there's not a lot of you guys around. And it's stuck that we really downplay our personal achievements. We downplay them so bad, that we think, you know what, anybody could be a chartered accountant, anybody could be an attorney, anybody could be an engineer, anybody could be a doctor. Maybe doctors, they know their worth, but we downplay these things. Anybody could be an artist, because to you, it feels natural, feels like it comes natural, but there is your unique advantage. So you better start attaching the right kind of value, the right amount of value into what you've sacrificed for, what you've trained for, and what you've worked for so hard. You have got to start attaching the right amount of value. Now, PG also highlighted the same thing, said to me, Sanele, you spent well over 5 years at an SOE in the Port Authority space. Why are you not leaning into that and start sharing with people? Because not a lot of people actually know the intricacies of the business model of Transnet and the lessons that are there, and what it means for our economy. Why don't you start leaning in and actually shaping your talks around the experiences that you have gained in the job? And in my mind, it's always just been, it's just been another part of my life. But I downplay the fact that I have been a financial manager for a listed company, NEMPEC, in Nigeria. I've got this international experience in tax, but I'm not utilizing those skills. I'm not tapping into them. I'm not leaning into them. I'm looking outside for some fulfillment. And so this is a challenge, specifically to CAs at the moment, to say, in terms of the competency framework that you trained with, how many of us have actually gone through into that competency framework and just looked at what our competencies are about, and how many of those competencies are we actually putting into use at this very moment in our careers? And what is our plan to make sure that we optimize in the utilization of those competencies? Because you spend a good, hard 3 years for CAs in training articles, doing articles, and you have just parked this somewhere. Sometimes you've even thrown it away. You are not utilizing it to your advantage. All right. So going into then the importance of leaning into what you've been trained in and what is your technical expertise. Remember, you are the expert in this space. Do not doubt that you are the expert, and do not think that anybody could do what you do. You are a specialist in what you are doing. So the foundation of expertise is important. The skills and knowledge you've gained through education and experience are your foundation. So lean into them. It gives you a competitive advantage and credibility in your field. Because without that qualification, you could say you are a business consultant, but nobody's going to take you seriously. But if you've got this qualification, it gives you credibility. Okay. So reflect on how training and skills can be applied, in new ventures that you could be pursuing. Look into that. All right. And that will help you reignite your passion in some exciting ways. Finding passion in practice, right? So we all start as a novice and we grow, in our careers. So passion isn't always discovered. It's often developed through mastery and deep engagement in your work. So you have to stay engaged. You need to lean in to your work and do your work. Don't try and avoid your work. Let me try a bit of this here. I think the background is not too good. Don't try to avoid your work. Do your work. Do the boring stuff, because that's where you cultivate your personal and professional mastery, and that's where you actually would find that there are things within your career and within your job that you are actually very passionate about. So invest efforts in becoming exceptional in what you do. Competence can lead to confidence and fulfillment. Be sure that you can be confident that what is your unique proposition and unique value that you bring in the markets. One of my mentors, when he was interviewing me for a job in another company I was working for, he asked me this to say, what is your X factor? So there is a couple of thousands of CAs out there. They all know financial reporting tools. They all do the things that you say you do. But what distinguishes you? And that's where your uniqueness comes in, your unique commitment into your craft. That's where it comes in, because you start to see what is the uniqueness and what the unique value proposition you've got to offer. Transferable skills. Even if your current field doesn't feel ideal, leaning into your expertise builds skills. So problem solving, leadership, communication, those are transferable to other industries. So cultivate them within your current field, so that when you get an opportunity to move to this dream industry or this dream career or dream job or dream business you're fantasizing about, you have built the right kind of foundation. So look for opportunities to pivot within and beyond your current field using your existing strengths. Do not neglect what you are good at. Do not neglect what you are trained in. And purpose often comes from contribution. So you might not be passionate about every aspect of your job, but your work likely contributes to something larger than yourself, right? So you better recognize your impact in terms of the organizational impact. How is your work and what you do on a daily basis feeding into the bigger strategy of the organization? That will help you, because then you start to realize that your work is not just this small thing, boring thing in a corner, but it actually contributes to the overall value chain within your organization and within your community. So that will help you, all right, in terms of how your role helps others, be it customers, teammates, or society, and take pride in that. That will bring back or actually push you to discover your passion. And number 5, reframe your perspective. Sometimes passion isn't missing. It's overshadowed by frustration, boredom, and routine. right? So it's not that you are not passionate about your job, but there's maybe just the routine that you need to change a bit, and you change your way of doing things, and you start to feel that you are actually more fulfilled and passionate about your job. So understand that it's not always passion that is missing. Sometimes there's other things, there's frustration, there's a change of system at your work, there's change of management, there's change of whatever, tools that we are using that can create some frustration, or if change is coming in very slowly. So reframe challenges as opportunities, a trick that works, so that you grow, innovate, and rediscover your motivation. So look at change as an opportunity for growth, not so much as a stumbling block in terms of you discovering your passion. So just final thoughts on this topic of passion, daily job, or daily careers that you are trained in, and leaning into what you already know, and leaning into your strengths to set up for a more dynamic future. While you may not feel an immediate sense of passion for your work, leaning into your training, in terms of what you've been trained in, helps you build confidence, master your craft, and create value. Often passion is cultivated, not stumbled upon. By fully engaging with what you've been trained in and finding ways to make it more aligned with your personal values and goals, it will help you to stay engaged and to stay the course. So lean in, do not be looking outward a lot to find purpose. Look inwards. You will discover your purpose. I wish you all the best. This is the Friday Outlook. Be sure to engage, like, subscribe, and give comments in terms of what it may have resonated with you, the kind of content you'd like us to cover on this channel. And be sure to follow us even in a Meetup app, Meetup group. We've got exciting initiatives that are lined up as the Advent Leadership Group. So long, have an adventurous, and be expectant of a better future. I listened to a podcast this morning saying that what's going to drive you is having that optimism that the future is going to be better than the past. With all the love, Son and Mkize. Cheers.